After watching that incredible speech yesterday, I watched it twice actually, by J.D.Vance, and that takes a lot of big gonads to stand there in Munich in front of all those people from Europe who are basically not singing from the same hymn sheet, and tell them that they're not singing from the same hymn sheet. I mean, I look round at the audience when it scanned round, with the generals and the various people with their military decorations, and I think, what are you people about? Because you haven't got a clue how to defend Europe. They're so focused on overseas threats that basically what happens within the country is going right over the heads by choice or by default, I'm not sure. You've only got to look at the recent attacker. The Munich attacker, who was identified as an Afghanistan asylum seeker, his claim was rejected and he'd posted online extremist content, but he's still in the country. So it's not just us, it's Germany as well. About one of the few places that seems to get a grip of this is Austria. All right, I'm totally biased because I've had a house there. And if it wasn't for the tyrannical approach to the rollout, if you know what I mean, I would probably have kept my house and stayed. But I couldn't live in a country where I'm not completely 100% with the language and watch tyrannical stuff go on around me, because I didn't want to be the foreigner in a country where you're not joining in and there is alles in Ordnung, you must have it done, you must get it. You must get it twice and you must get also other boosters. No thanks, you're not saying that to me. So that's one of the reasons that put me off. I like my country. I like the way it is. I like the people. When I've been away for a while and I come back and I hear somebody say, "Hiya, flower," when I'm in a shop where they know me. It's comforting. It's not the day-to-day things like close relatives or anything like that. It's just the sense of belonging, and we've all got that in our little communities. And if you live on your own, but you have got places you can go where you feel a part of something, do get yourself out there and do it, because that feeling is comforting, and we need to get that from each other. Sadly, after J.D.Vance's fantastic speech, I mean, I've shared it on all my channels, and I've put my video out. It's had the one that's on here that's had about 26,000 views up to now. It's had 333,000 views on X. X is a much faster platform, and it's had about 20,000 views on Facebook. So I do my best. But the amazing thing is Disclosed TV, which is an excellent Twitter page, has shared segments of the speech from the German Chancellor, who's basically saying in one breath that Germany supports democracy and free speech, but didn't like what J.D.Vance was saying. In other words, he's proving what J.D.Vance said about free speech in Europe. And this is why we have to keep fighting in a reasonable and respectful manner. I'm not always respectful when I go on an MP's thread, especially if I think they're doing us over and making money from things that they're enforcing us to live by, because they're still not listening. The German Chancellor proved it. They're not listening. America is listening. America's changing big time. But I do think we've got to keep a grip on where we are in our country, because left-wing people who are normally what I would call regular Labour voters that have a shed load follow me, they're the people that created the red wall for the Tories. They do not want what's going on any more than you and I. They have been abandoned completely by their party, just like the Conservative thinkers have been abandoned by the Tories. You're not going to get any sense from either of those parties, or the Lib Dums, especially with that prat Ed Davey in charge, who has the audacity to use a private jet so he could get to see his family and yet support a race to zero. It's madness. We can all see it. We can all see who Ed Miliband's backers are. And the only people standing up and saying anything about it are the Reform Party candidates who were successful in gaining a seat in Westminster. And that's what we've got to hang on to. That footprint has to grow. I am past the point of no return with people who are taking the hump about Richard Tice with that lot comment. Richard Tice has upset me on a number of issues over the last few years. I thought, oh no, why have you said that? And when he was the head in the party, I didn't have a lot of time for them, and I have openly criticised reform on many, many posts on Facebook and Twitter. But whichever way you look at it, you've got to look at the rough with the smooth. And Richard Tice kept that brand, the Brexit Party brand, moving forward with his own money when there was nothing political to talk about. They didn't have enough kudos to gain seats during the 2017 and 19 elections. Nigel took a leap of faith with the Tories. That's why he's not very keen on Boris, because they let him down. He took a leap of faith and stood his candidates down. It didn't work out because the Tories betrayed it. Because Boris betrayed it. He betrayed it with Ukraine, he betrayed it with Brexit, dying in a ditch. Boris Johnson is not a man to lead this country anywhere. Just because he wants to make pompous speeches and sound like Churchill doesn't make him Churchillian. More like, I don't know. It's comedic to me. I've had photographs with him, I've sat and talked to the man. I believed in him when I worked for Vote Leave, when I volunteered. But I'm sorry, nothing came to fruition. And I believe that the Reform Party will be very choosy about candidates. I don't even think I'd make the grade because I've got swearing on my channel. Not this one, but Twitter. And obviously I'm very outspoken, and I have openly supported Tommy Robinson by asking questions about him and writing little pieces. So I probably wouldn't make the grade. So what? I don't care. They've got to do what's best to make that party appeal to a wider audience. And that wider audience is not on Twitter, it's not on YouTube, and it's not on Facebook. It's just out there. It's just out there. Worried about what Katie Price looks like, worried about what's going on at school with the kids, worried about other things. Can I pay my bills? And a percentage of them would roll the sleeve up and lock the front doors if they were told to do it again. And unfortunately, they are voters that have to be harvested to win an election. That's it. You've got to look at what they're trying to do here. You can fight when you've got a position of power, and people misinterpret Nigel Farage as having power. He's got fame. It isn't power. It doesn't transfer into power. He's recognisable, he's known, but he's got no more jurisdiction than any other backbench MP. But people listen to him, and people in Westminster listen to him. And there's quite a few conservative type Tories that are listening to him. Not the ones that are up front and you see every day. The backbenchers that you never see. So I'm really optimistic about the future and how it's going to change. I just think we've got a really tough time to go to. Look at it like when people start a business off. When I started my business off, I've had a few businesses and I've sold them all, and I've never owed anybody a penny, and nobody was ever allowed to owe me any money. Oh, God forbid you owed me some money. I would make your life a nightmare. Come and sit in your office with a nice big picture of how much you owed me, a breakdown of it, and I'd sit there in reception until one of your minions came out and paid me my money for what I supplied you. That's it. I don't take any prisoners. I've been in business for myself since I was 24, and I have never accrued any bad debt with anyone, and I have never allowed anyone to accrue it with me. I'm stalwart about it, just like I'm stalwart about people grifting off the public. I get a bit of money off Google for this. Google can afford to pay me, and they're making way more money from their advertisers who are allowed to put ads on before my videos start. I don't have advertising in between. I'm not doing this to make a lucrative income. I'm doing this because it's a channel where I can communicate with people, explain politics in simple terms, and realise the importance of the smallest thing that they can do, which is talk to other people. That's why I do it. All right, Twitter's like a boxing ring. You have to get your boxing gloves on to go onto Twitter. But I seem to be pretty good at it, so I'm okay there. What we need to do is remember that just like starting a new business, it's tough at the beginning. And this is the beginning for us. We've been ambling about, swimming about, oh yeah, things are wrong, oh, we haven't got Brexit, yeah. But now this is it. This is crucial. This is critical. This is the boundary line now. We've got till 2029 to wake everybody up so that they vote for reform. Doesn't matter how good they are, just know they're better than what we've got. Doesn't matter if they're going to address everything, and don't get stuck in thinking, what about the policies on this? What about the manifesto? All you need is someone who's going to do it better, who's going to challenge the race to zero, who's going to challenge the immigration, who's going to challenge the energy pricing costs, and who's going to challenge what went on with Matt Hancock and the nursing homes during lockdown. Those are critical things that they've already put on the table. You only need to sweep them up and you've got a better country. And that's just the beginning. And don't fall for what the media do with Farage, which is try and trick him into, he gets asked his opinion because he's been around politics a long time and he knows how to play the game. And when he gives an opinion, what he thinks might happen, that has got nothing to do with what he would like for reform. And if you want to know about Ukraine, just Google Nigel Farage Ukraine and a shed load of links will come up, from Politico to CNN to The Telegraph to The Mail. It's all over what he thinks about Ukraine. He thinks the West and NATO encroachment has caused the difficulties. And he's fully aware that this could have kicked off in 2016 if Trump hadn't won. But he did win and it all calmed down. And then when Biden got in, boom, it's all off again. Same with North Korea. They're mad. They're crackpots. So it's like a new business. This is what's happening, this parliament. And it's difficult because the management structure is not good. And the business is going down the pan. The business of being the UK is going down the pan because the management's bad. So the workforce, us, are saying, well, this can't last and it won't last. But we have an opportunity to get rid of them, and to get rid of a lot of them, to get rid of a lot of Lib Dem MPs. It's not just about getting Labour out. It's about getting all the other cronies out that support what Labour are doing, that don't challenge it. And we can do that because by the time they've got 4 years now to vet people, and they're going to be stringent. They want better quality candidates. They want people who aren't afraid to speak out, people who have got half a bloody brain and have had maybe run a business or lived a reasonably successful life under their own steam and understand what it takes to put a roof over your head and food on the table. And it will be filled with people like that, and people like Rupert Lowe, who have come away from a very comfortable existence, not taken a wage, to come out and fight for his country. That's what we want.